Okay, everybody, it's me, Gregory Mannarino. It's beautiful. It's lovely. We're together again at last. Sit down and freaking relax. So, Monday, April 11, 2022. People, where do we stand right now? Let's start off with this. So, over the weekend, we heard from the ghoul of the Federal Reserve. I'm referring to Loretta Mester. She is a thing, and it's probably not even a she. It's some kind of other undefined entity here. Well, we maybe got a little bit of truth out of it. And she explained, or it explained, that inflation is not really so transitory. As a matter of fact, it was going to persist for at least the next 2 years. Can I please get a duh? Duh! Make this stuff up, people. Really try to do it, honestly. And again, when do you believe that the Federal Reserve is going to be held to account for the lies, the repeated lies, and the dog shit that they've been fist feeding us since, I don't know, time immemorial? Won't happen. So on top of this here, this whole issue with inflation not being so transitory and it's going to persist for at least another 2 years, well, there's a few other things going on. Crude oil is falling under pressure because there's more lockdowns in China. There's this demand concerns. Look, it's not going to last in my view. So right now, crude oil is on sale, in my opinion. You of course, do your own research on this, but in my view, people, it's going much, much higher in an environment of a dying dollar by design, fiat currencies dissolving right before our eyes around the world. Don't listen to me. Listen to of the Federal Reserve. She's telling you inflation is going to persist. I mean, come on, man. You can't make this stuff up. It's impossible to do. Anyway, what else is going on? Stock futures are lower right now. Nothing dramatic, but lower nonetheless. 10-year yield 2.74-ish. In my opinion, again, and I touched on this yesterday, we will be seeing a 10-year yield over 3. Over 3. You and I, we called it on this blog that we would see the 10-year yield settle above 2. Clearly, we have done that. We're going above 3. Okay, above 3. And in a controlled fashion. I mean, it's going to be a slow, steady climb as the market is pricing in more rate hikes. Speaking of that, we got a big report coming out tomorrow on inflation. And in my view, it's going to be horrible. And it might rattle the market a little bit, maybe. Let's see how that plays out. And that would present an opportunity, at least in my view. Let's see what happens. It's going to be interesting. Okay, so what else is going on? Gold and silver, especially silver, catching a very nice bid right now, and it looks good to me. Look, commodities, people, you know this, and I'm talking about crude oil too. Despite what's happened recently, commodities are going much, much higher. Why? Commodities are priced in dollars. Duh. I think we all know that, okay? Now, with the dying dollar, I don't care what the Fed does, okay? They can't stop it. They can't stop what they started, and nor do they want to. They want to continue to inflate, and they're going to. Forget about tapering, which didn't happen. Forget about cutting back on asset purchases. That's not going to happen. And with regard to buying assets, treasuries, mortgage-backed securities, they can say whatever they want to, of course, and they will not get in any trouble when they don't do it or when things just go the opposite way, because we have no representation at all anymore. I think that's pretty freaking evident. All right, what else is happening here, people? We got the U.S. dollar slightly higher, the relative strength of the dollar, which it will remain so. Again, I'm laughing, but I shouldn't be laughing. It's a race to the bottom. How else can I say this? You have central banks around the world who are deliberately destroying their currencies in a race to the bottom. And for now, the U.S. dollar, or the Dixie, the relative strength, it's going to remain high because the dollar is, I guess, the prettiest belle at the ball. But at the same time, look around you. Look at what is happening here. Gasoline prices, food prices hitting a record high, and it's not going to stop. On the back of that, we got another warning today, another one from the World Bank. You think maybe they know something you don't? And they're talking about not only how inflation is going to persist. Don't listen to me, listen to the ghoul. I have to do that face every time. It's more like, I mean, whatever it is. Ugh, hideous thing. Anyway, yes. So inflation is going to persist. Food shortages are already hitting parts of the world here. And there's going to be social unrest. I mean, this is what they're leading up to. Again, they had to make people compliant first. They have to make them little freaking compliant freaks. Control mechanism, whatever they got to do, in an attempt to stave off any kind of social unrest, which is going to come. But again, look, I think you and I really understand where this is all going. And with regard to control, you haven't seen a damn thing yet. A lot more control, a lot more taking of liberties and freedoms. It's look, it's all over the place. It's pretty obvious to me, and I believe it is to you as well. So anyway, we also have a few other things going on, not only economic reports, which I told you, we have earnings this week, and this is going to be, like I said yesterday, in my view, there is a strong possibility of an upside surprise. Why? Because people continue to borrow and borrow with no end in sight. They're addicted to it. They're addicted to spending. They're addicted to debt. And it seems like American citizens are hell-bent, more than anybody else, to make themselves willing slaves to the central banks. The Federal Reserve. I mean, that's what they're doing. They're creating nation slaves, individual slaves. It's not going to stop. And people are just, they're lining up like sheep to the slaughter. It's an insane thing, but that's where we are going. So look, in summary here this morning, all right, the setup for the market, honestly, despite the fact that futures are lower right now, really isn't too bad. We still have crude oil around $95 a barrel. You know how much the market loves that. You got a relatively stable, or it's still a stable 10-year yield. Dollar slightly stronger. Okay, relative strength. The market doesn't really like that. But the setup isn't horrible. I'm not saying it's great, but it's kind of like neutral in my opinion here. I think I left out cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies are under pressure, and they have been that way ever since the other thing, whatever it is, Janet Yellen, former Fed chair, now U.S. Treasury Secretary. How did that work out? Anyway, she's condemning cryptocurrencies. She's explaining that something needs to be done about cryptocurrencies because they are a threat to the financial system, if that were only true. More people need to adopt this. But look, when you have a creature like Janet Yellen explaining that you should not be in cryptocurrencies, what does that tell you? What does that tell you? Duh. I mean, it's a big fat duh to me. Anyway, look, my take on this, people. I don't know another way to say this. We are in a freak show of the highest order. It's going to get a lot worse. The misdirection, the propaganda, the misinformation, the lies, it's going to keep going. And once in a while, I guess we're going to get a shred of truth, which we did from the ghoul this morning. Yesterday, I think it was, actually, I'm sorry. With regard to inflation is going to persist. So just get used to it. Look, that's what they're telling people. They're saying, look, screw you, deal with it, and that's it, because they're trying to kill you. They're literally trying to eliminate you if you're a member of the middle class, and I believe most of you probably are. It's very, very sad. All right, people, that's it for this morning. I covered a bunch of stuff with you. Let's just see how this plays out. And you and me, we're going to get together right here again at the end of the day, and I'm looking forward to that. And let's see what else comes out. I got my notepad. Look, clean piece of paper. Got my pen too. Anyway, this guy here loves you a lot. I'll see all of you later. I'm out of here.